Our first presenter is Alice Snellgrove. Alice began working at COD in 1982 and retired in 2005, marking a rich 23-year career at the college. Here is the highly esteemed Professor Snellgrove.
What a great honor and privilege it is to introduce a former student with whom I worked for several years, a woman of astonishing achievement, Dr. Maureen Dunne. But where to begin? My first memory of Maureen is when she came to my office as a member of the Honors Scholar Program. Only 17 years old, she was tiny in stature, but I had already heard about her towering intellect, her outstanding academic performance, her passionate interest in autism, and how quickly she was moving forward. In fact, one day a colleague, a cytology professor, pulled me aside and remarked, "Alice, one day Maureen is going to make my profession very proud." And indeed she has. And it didn't take long. Maureen has achieved so much, has received so many well-deserved awards and recognitions that I cannot begin to name them all. However, I will start with her academics, her time at COD, when she was a 1995 Outstanding Female Graduate with more than twice the required credits for graduation and a perfect 4.0 GPA. She was president of Psi Beta, Honorary Cytology Society, and a member of Phi Theta Kappa, as well as a recipient of a PTK International Scholarship, one of only 10 Americans so honored. She was twice named to USA Today's All-USA Academic Team and received a National Allen and Baton Award for her theory on educating autistic children, a subject of many articles she has subsequently published on this topic. From COD, Maureen moved to the University of Chicago and there earned both bachelor's and master's degrees, receiving both the same year. During that time, she was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa, was founder and president of the UFC chapter of the National Cytology Honor Society, received a Ford Foundation Fellowship, and most notably was awarded a Rhodes Scholarship, the first ever community college graduate to be so honored, making us at COD especially proud. With the Rhodes Scholarship, Maureen moved to Oxford University, earned a master's degree and a doctorate in cognitive sciences, and along the way picked up an additional master's degree from the London School of Economics. She then returned to the United States, to California, to pursue her long interest in autistic children and play. In the years since, Maureen has become an entrepreneur focused on neurodiversity and the educational and social needs of people diagnosed with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and other cognitive typologies. She is the co-founder and managing partner of the first social impact investment association that focuses on neurodiversity. She is a neurodiversity expert for the Lego Foundation, and don't we all love to play with Legos? She is the recipient of fellowships at Harvard and MIT. She's a National Science Foundation Fellow. She helped organize last fall's Stanford University Neurodiversity Summit, is an adjunct faculty member at the University of Illinois at Chicago, and the founder of the Transition to Success program to help the neurodiverse population move to jobs or higher education. At COD, she created the Dr. Maureen N. Dunne Autism Student Success Scholarship. An internationally known expert on neurodiversity, Maureen speaks at numerous conferences and events, publishes on neurodiversity, develops programs such as a local high school boot camp to help students expand their career potential. She is chair of our COD Board of Trustees and president of the Illinois Community College Trustees Association. We could go on, and there's much more to say about her achievements. And you may be thinking that Maureen is too good to be true. But make no mistake, she is authentic, absolutely authentic. She is caring and committed, and she is devoted to service. Maureen has always searched for ways to serve. This she did as a COD student when she began the long-running peer mentoring program. when she organized community fundraising for mental health awareness, when she worked with the disabled and the illiterate, when she founded and directed an organization to help reach and educate autistic citizens. She served as a humanitarian aide in Bosnia and Croatia, taught English in the Czech Republic, worked with children in Hungary, and in Zimbabwe assisted children infected with HIV, a time when people were frightened even to touch an AIDS sufferer. And that was just during her college years. Maureen's deep commitment to others also embraces her family. When at the University of Chicago, she helped care for her dying grandmother and at the same time researched treatment for the cancer that soon took her mother's life. Years later, Maureen would care for a nonverbal autistic foster child and also have children of her own. Triplets. Of course, Maureen being Maureen would have triplets. Seeking closer connection to her Illinois origins, Maureen and her family moved to DuPage County, back to the people she would serve. She came here to give her family roots and to help our community blossom, to grow into its finest and best potential. This she is busily engaged in doing. This is her focus. This is her gift. We are its fortunate recipients. Dr. Maureen Dunne.
Thank you so much, Alice. It's just wonderful that you were the one to introduce me. I can't tell you what an honor it is to be recognized today along with 4 such outstanding alums. One of the fondest memories I had in the past being on stage at the MAC was quite a long time ago. I was invited as a recent graduate to join an event with several alums, including Jim Belushi, and I remember being on this very stage, and I'm sure there's some pictures the COD library could dig up where Jim Belushi was pretending as a joke to strangle me because he wanted to take away my Rhodes Scholarship. And that moment, I just kind of think back, I constantly having these sort of deja vu experiences, sort of being back in my current role and just how much this institution has meant so much to my life. And back then, I just would have never imagined, that I would be standing here accepting this honor as a distinguished alum while simultaneously serving our college as the chair of the Board of Trustees. There's so much here that feels like completing a very, very special closing of the circle. And I think for all of us as alums, we each have our own stories to tell, our own unique journeys. And of course, all of us, we're always the main character in our stories. I know, if you look at most great literature or films, which I really appreciated my time with Frida Lidman and her honors poetry and literature courses that we had lots of conversations of this nature. But, the main character, right, always abruptly enters an unfamiliar world, unfamiliar territory, a completely new world. Where there's always these unexpected twists, metaphorical mountains, if you will, to climb. There's always really, really big choices to make. The stakes are always high. So many paths or roads to choose from. And of course, along the way, if you're lucky, transformations happen, but they're never alone. And it's always with the help and support of mentors and allies, where without the availability of those individuals, it just would not be possible to pull off climbing that mountain or accomplishing any meaningful progress or significant transformation. And College of DuPage was that place for me. I feel like, I entered a new world. It was an exciting world. It was an unfamiliar world, But what I did know was anything was possible. I felt that. I felt I could chart my own course and that I had the support I needed to do that. And I think I can say without question it was the most transformational period in my life where I could have gone in so many different directions. I had been an honors student most of my life, but high school was, for the most part, not a very pleasant experience for me, as often is the case for a large number of young people for many reasons. And I had graduated high school early as a junior, and I had a very, very deep need to chart my own path and figure things out for myself and feel like I knew where I belonged. And this was the place that happened for me. And, there was important choices to be made, there was risks that had to be taken, and most importantly, there was allies and mentors that needed to show up at that exact period in my life trajectory, which happened. And faculty and mentors and even students, even my peers at COD, they made all the difference, and I will forever be grateful. I recall even meeting with a guidance counselor, and it's again another example of I never felt this sense here of like, oh, you should limit yourself, maybe you should kind of, not push so hard, maybe you shouldn't try to be more than you are type thing. And I remember meeting with a guidance counselor, and I wanted to identified 35 credit hours I wanted to take in a quarter, many of them were honors courses, and instead of telling me I was crazy, which, would be expected, I guess, instead, he asked me, if I believed I could handle that course load and still maintain a 4.0 grade point average. And at first I said yes, and then I said, well, maybe I'd end up with a 3.8, I don't know, but, it was worth the risk because what I really wanted was to learn and to go beyond sort of the bare minimum and this was the opportunity in my life to really try to challenge myself. And I remember him, just saying, okay, well, I trust your judgment, and I'm going to support you here, and I will be here each step of the way, however you want to do this. And that was just so liberating for me. And he just, without question, signed this permission slip. And then were the faculty mentors who just had such a deeply profound impact in my life, and I believe truly shifted my path. I mean, I feel like there were so many opportunities I wasn't aware of that time, figuring a lot of things out, figuring out where I belonged. And I think, my community college experience was, for all of us, has been a truly transformative one. And for me, I had my own unique path, but it was, it really, I just think back to that time, and it's hard to not be emotional because it was so significant. And it's hard for me to kind of name a list because there was like so many people that had an influence on my path and my life. And I also recognize that the debt I've always felt to the College of DuPage and for all it gave me will never be fully paid off. Although, honestly, I do have to say I work pretty hard on behalf of the college's board chair. I mean, yeah. But still, there's just never going to be adequate words to express the immeasurable gratitude I have for the people that joined me on this journey while I was a student here, especially the faculty who really believed in me and took the time to invest in me as a student, as a scholar, and as a person. And I know there's several of my former faculty members that are here today. I'd just like to acknowledge Alice Snowgrove, John Modschuler, Barb Lemmy, and Marco Benassi are four of them. And I just couldn't be more grateful for just the role that each of you have played in my development and my life. And I just want to thank each of you. And you'll never, I think, fully appreciate just how transformative I think your support and mentorship was. I mean, and I'm thinking of like John Modschuler and Al Snellgrove, just the amount of time too I spent in their office, just getting advice, and the amount of time that they were spent with letters of recommendation, the encouragement, and then most importantly, just deeply caring about me as a student, in my journey. It really made all the difference. And my life, actually has been pretty bumpy. I mean, a lot of people think I've kind of, I don't know, I've sort of gone through a path that's been, I've excelled in some easy way, but I've had my fair share of challenges, and it's been a bumpy ride. So it's certainly not been a straight line. But Al Snugger and John Mocher especially were two individuals I've kept in touch with especially in some of the years following my graduation here, and they continued to care and be involved well beyond my graduation, at COD. And also just want to recognize psychology professor Richard Ross. He also invested countless hours that he really didn't, he didn't have to. I mean, he took it upon himself to take on extra work, right, to help me pursue my goals and do independent studies and independent research projects, and even was mentoring me for co-ops and internships, and it was really extraordinary. And Marco Benassi, who's here, has got a very effective and unique teaching style, and I just remember going back, when I was a student here, I had several courses with him, and I think just his style of mentorship and teaching, and then also I was on the forensics team for some time, just really kind of pushed me, to take some risks I needed to take at that time. It was really important to become a better communicator too. And I even found myself then competing, in the persuasion category on our speech team. And then I also recall participating in some rather unconventional outdoor field classes. And those were amazing. It was, again, totally out of my comfort zone, but super, super important to transform into to have a chance at sort of pushing myself and challenging myself to go in the direction I did after that, and learning, better ways of dealing with, group communication and teamwork and risk-taking, and also just very grateful for those experiences. And then also in my second quarter at College of DuPage, I signed up for honors developmental psychology with Professor Barb Lemmy, and that was really inspirational, and Barb also had just an amazing impact on me with just my passion in that space, and connecting some dots too of where research and where inquiry could be really connected to making a big social impact in the world. And she was one of the first professors I really had that kind of spurred that interest and passion, which I'm as well going to forever be grateful for. And I'd say all the professors I've had, there's many, many more I could list here, really, help open my eyes to opportunities that were available to me, but I didn't necessarily see them. And I probably wouldn't have necessarily seen them on my own. And Professor John Mochiler, for instance, he had a very significant influence on my decision to attend the University of Chicago. And Al Snowgrove and Richard Voss and Barb Lemmy, they also helped me see, I should be aiming higher, right, than maybe I was thinking when I first started at the college, and all the different types of other enrichment and scholarship and opportunities that were available to me that would make it possible, right, to make that transition, to transfer successfully. And then, of course, there was actually many students and peers that also played a really, really important role for me, and including those I served with in Phi Theta Kappa, which is, as we know, the Honors Society for the two-year college, Phi Beta Kappa, which is Honors Society for Psychology. And then I was also actively involved as a senator in what at that time we were calling the COD, Student Government Association. And so it just brings me back to why for me, it's just such a special closing of the circle, because I think, we're all here for our students, right? I think that's what really matters. And having this institution having been so transformational for me while I was a student, and then to be back here and have the honor of serving as board chair now and being in a position to make a positive impact for thousands of students who, you know, who I can identify with, right? Who like me now are ready, willing, and able to find a path, you know, find their own path, find their unique path towards self-actualization, climb those new mountains, and have faculty, have mentors that are truly, truly going to care about them and invest in them, so that they can be successful. And for that, I'm just truly, truly grateful. And I just want to thank you. This is very much a great honor for me.